the point.
And you'll
Big thing
need
I've
that
learned about
skill all
myself.
the way
You
through
will,
nursing
yeah.
school.
I'm sure.
Two more people came today that slipped in a little late. Tristan Thoig and Julia Gulia. Is that really your last name?
That's not really my last
Okay, she's always gone under an alias in her whole time here. But anyway, they both just got accepted to nursing school as well. You guys have listened to all of this. Any thoughts? What would you say was different from your perspective?
I thought it was good and accurate. I went to this session last year too, and it's different, of course, hearing it then and hearing it now being accepted. I would definitely study for timed essay. That's not something a lot of people do. Usually you have a week to write an essay or a 10-page report, but I know for the PCC one, it was 50 minutes. So,
And I think it was 3 questions to share, right?
yep, and you gotta answer all 3 in 50 minutes.
So practicing that, like taking live moving nurse and kind of write that essay in 50 minutes and time myself and then print it out that I haven't had a chance to review it. I probably did that 15, 20 times. With general questions I thought they would ask so that I was prepared for people just to hammer out my first 3 major points that I wanted to say. I thought it was a huge benefit. Oh, and nursing cast. There seems to be a lot of hate about it. I loved it.
I loved it too.
And as soon as you finish the PCC or HSU ones, like there's only 2 or 3 schools in Oregon that take nursing cast, but it's a nationwide deal. I submitted my applications and then I stood there and looked at a blank screen, right? There wasn't any live justification for it. Logged back in, I started applying in Wisconsin, Vermont, Florida, because it's the same premise. It's like once you do one.
It's also once you're done.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it's like, it's just anything that's new. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so overwhelming. But now that, because I didn't get in last year either, but I had to do it for OHSU. And coming back in, I'm like, oh, okay, I remember this. And it's nice to just still have. But yeah, it's overwhelming.
And this year's the first year that with Nursing Cast you can actually apply as a reapplicant, so you don't have to go in and re-enter anything. You can just apply and hit reapplicant and it copies everything that you did except you have to put in new coursework. If you have new coursework, and then you have to put in new letters of recommendation and things like that. But it brings over all your academics, all your credentials, everything that you put in, which is huge. As you know, it does take hours to do and lots of double checks. But I will say that when we went to the conference to kind of finalize our acceptance into using this program, I heard lots and lots of schools say, oh, you're from PCC? Well, we take tons of your students. They're awesome. Do you have any students that are on a wait list? Do you have any students that we can take? We don't fill our program. God. So with that, you can apply anywhere. There's tons and tons and tons of places that you can apply with that application, so it is pretty awesome.
I'll make one more comment about the wait list. Many of you will be waitlisted. I think several of y'all were waitlisted for a while, right? Were you, Erica?
Yeah.
You're still waitlisted at OHSU right now. Is that
Well,
right?
Yeah, they do tiers. It's like highly likely to get in, moderately, or low. And I'm in the highly likely, but I don't. But you also have to sign the acceptance letter to PCC by June 15th, and
Yeah.
they leave it open until the first day of class for OHSU. The wait list, I'm not going to turn down PCC, but
Sure.
it's just, yeah.
The point that I wanted to make, and you can verify this, but most students who get in to one school probably also got into 2 or 3. And I think that holds true for most of these folks. And the reason I say that is because if you get accepted to 2 schools, you're going to have to give up one of those acceptances, right? And that means that school is going to be able to plug in one of their wait list people into your spot. And PCC has oftentimes, basically, everybody that was on the wait list eventually got in. Is that right?
2 years ago, we went through our entire alternate list.
So, if they accept 80 and then they have 80 on the wait list, that means by September, all the wait lists got in. So basically 160 who applied there got in, although 80 of them turned them down and went somewhere else. But that's for lots and lots of reasons.
And it definitely doesn't happen each year. Some years we only go through 10 or 15 of the wait list, but some years we go through all of them. So.
Yeah.
And this year we did only offer spaces to 62. So. And that's what we're looking at right now as we rebuild our nursing faculty because everybody's retiring. So. Lots of knowledge.
Any other questions from the crowd? Yes.
I know it varies every year and the point's changing again, but it'll be different next year, but did you have kind of a cutoff point or?
Well, since we just notified and we haven't closed all of our stats yet, we always say to be competitive to be in the high 50s. That's where you want to be.
Okay.
Well, the one thing that I would tell you more than anything else is whatever stage you're at right now, call the folks, go sit down with them one-on-one, establish a relationship with an advisor, and go back to see them over and over. You want them to know you, and you want to be able to have somebody you can call and you don't have to go over everything again. They know you. And they've got a file on you, and that will really help you. Otherwise, you're just getting kind of pot shots for advice, and that's not what you want.
So the health admissions office, we see students by appointment only, so you do have to call our main office line in order to set up an appointment. And the reason for that is so that we can get all of our ducks in a row before we see you guys. We like to have transcripts from any schools that you attended previously so that when we spend an hour with you, we can really spend it focusing on your needs and your plan and get all of your questions answered. Since we do the long-term planning, that sometimes takes a while. We send advisors out to all the campuses, so if Rock Creek is not your home campus, maybe you take classes at Cascade or you take classes at Southeast, we send an advisor from our office out there every few weeks, so when you call to make an appointment, let them know where your home campus is. I usually come out to Rock Creek every Tuesday, and those do fill up about a month out, just because I only come out here one day a week. And so those do fill up really quickly, but now that we've closed the application cycle, we're not processing applications, we're back to just full-time advising, so there are lots and lots of appointments available, at Sylvania and at all of the other campuses. But really, ideally, for advising for these programs, spring, like late spring, summer, and fall are going to be the time that you want to come in and see us, because that's when we're trying to get you on track for the application cycle, or when the applications have closed and we can talk to you about your application, planning for summer, things like that. So.
The truth is, the reason her applications or appointments fill up so fast is because she's the smartest and the cutest.
Thank you.
She hates it when I say
Just
that.
because I've been here for so long, I'm the dinosaur of the bunch. It's all that knowledge. But, yeah, and if, like I said, if you guys do want to set up an appointment, call the main office line. That information is all in the back of your advising guide. So all of our direct contact info, we're always happy to help. We're actually fully staffed, like real full staff, real bodies that live in our office, so you should be able to get an appointment. This is like a first for us in a long time.
Okay, any last questions? Thank you, yes.
So do you guys recommend really getting your CNA too? And how long after being a CNA one? Is it the 1 year mark?
Depends, do you wanna work in Oregon or Washington?
Oregon.
Then you have to have a CNA too if you want hospital experience. But I would say if you can get experience at a nurse assisted facility or a nursing home, do that and be a CNA one, because that's gonna give you just as much patient experience as a hospital. It's just one is long-term and one is acute care. So you're gonna be probably seeing the same patients over and over and over because they live there.
Yep.
And in acute care, you're gonna deal with a way different patient population. It's gonna be high turnover.
But also to think about, if you get that CNA too and you're in the hospital, that's a possible job opening for you when you become a nurse.
And a big pay raise.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jump from like 13 to 18 to 20.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it just depends on how much time you have, but yeah, if you just need patient care, CNA 1, don't spend the money on CNA 2
Yeah.
unless you have the time and that's what you wanna do is get in that hospital.
I knew I
It's a
wanted
great
acute
program.
care, so I went to CNA 2 right after CNA 1, didn't even work as CNA 1. Just went to CNA 2, got it, and then got a job at a hospital.
Thank you.
You had a question up here, go ahead.
Did you have a question?
Go for it.
Hold on, I just lost my train of thought. Let me rethink of what I was gonna ask, sorry. I didn't write them down, but I can. Wait, I have a question. You said you got accepted to multiple schools. Would you mind sharing what those other schools you applied to and that you got?
PCC, OHSU, and Mount
Mountain has a lot of discretionary points.
And it's
That's why I didn't
very,
get in there.
every single one was such a different
It's
process
like-
to get in.
Yeah.
Like one was, let's sit down in a group and just talk. That was our interview. And then I go to PCC and it's like, we're doing strictly essay. And then OHSU was proctored essay, no interview. But yeah, just totally different. I wasn't really.
So for your prerequisites, did you have to look ahead to the school and see if their prerequisites were different? Because I know that some schools are different prerequisites. So with this, this nursing cast, when you fill out your application, I mean, when you do prerequisites at PCC, does it pretty much cover all of the other schools?
Well,
or?
if it's
If it's
is the
Ocney, it
same.
does.
Okay.
Like OHSU and Linfield, I believe, take all of
Yeah.
the PCC credits.
Oh, okay.
And then, so PCC is now in partnership with OHSU with a consortium for nursing education. It's called the Oregon Consortium for Nursing Education, or what you'll hear everybody call OCNE.
Right.
So it's OHSU is kind of like our mothership, and then 11 community colleges feed into OHSU. So once you complete your associate's degree and pass your NCLEX, you can seamlessly and non-competitively transition to OHSU and complete your bachelor's degree in one additional year.
Which we just had 20 of those students join our cohort this year and will graduate with us.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it is really important because, you know, the nursing career field is really moving more toward BSN nurses, especially right now in Oregon with many hospitals having magnet status, and just legacy, Providence system, things like that, that RN still can find work, absolutely. But there is no timeline for that transition period too. You don't have to do a direct transition. So you can do the online completion at any point once you complete it through OCNE. The nice thing about OCNE is it streamlines the application process as far as timeline goes, not necessarily how you apply, but the timeline is gonna be the same. The OCNE deadlines are always February 15th. The prereqs are pretty much all the same, although each school gets about 19 points to do their own type of discretionary points. So like for PCC, we chose community service and healthcare experience, and PCC residency points for how many credits you took here, veterans points. Each school gets to decide their own, they call them discretionary points, based on what their faculty and staff feel are important to the student body. Linfield is not an OCNE school, obviously, because they're their own university. They take basically everything that we need, or that you need to get into our program, with the addition of some higher level, either biology or chemistry, that you can combine with our biology 112. I do want to show you guys something really quick, if you don't mind.
I will say if you graduate from PCC and sit for the boards and get your RN, you can have a job and work and do your senior year that year at OHSU, but as you're on the floor at OHSU in clinical, you cannot work under the license of your RN license. You are a student RN, you can't pull narcotics, you won't be able to, you'll be back to where the students at OHSU are that haven't sat for their NCLEX, just for the purpose of you're getting your bachelor's now. So you're a student when you're at OHSU doing your clinicals. So those students got they weren't upset at all, they just didn't understand. They're like, so are we allowed to do this? Cause at my job, cause I have an RN license, but while you're under wearing the OHSU badge as a student, you are not. Whether you sat for the NCLEX or not, you are not an RN.
When you're in school, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And actually, directly to that point, so you can either graduate from PCC, get your RN, and then do your third year either in person or online,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Is it still that way? Because I think they changed it to just online.
No, you can do it. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
we have
there's
20
still-
people in our cohort now.
So what they do is you can do it online, or there's two different directions that they're doing, and I'm not sure, we haven't heard what they're doing for 18, we only knew what they're offering for 17, which was two separate pathways for the cohort, one of which was a community health focus, so that specific cohort works with folks in a specific community on their health needs. And then another track was supposed to work with students up at the Veterans Hospital, working specifically on veterans' health needs. And that there were two in-person tracks, and you had to apply to either or in order to do the in-person one, and then the online one was the other option. So, but again, they changed that based on their faculty availability and how many spaces they have in the cohort to bring over. Because remember, they're transitioning 11 community college graduates. So it's a lot of students. So they
Yeah.
have to kind of adjust how the cohort transitions based on the numbers that are transitioning, so.
Yeah, they just told us that 20 students from community colleges are now joining us. We don't know where from.
They just come.
So third year at OHSU's BSN program is all in neighborhood clinical stuff, right? Leadership training, that kind of deal.
We
Is it
do
your
a
third year?
leadership course.
Yeah.
That's primarily following management and senior leaders in the hospital to meetings, learning how collaboration works with the nursing staff and management, how those two interact. 150 clinical hours of that. You don't do any patient care. And then the last two terms are IP, which is you're on whatever unit or in the VA on a unit doing.
What is
strictly
IP?
Interprofessional practice, I think. I don't even know. They just say it's your IP or at this point, I'm at 3 weeks, almost done with
You're
it.
basically a nurse.
Yeah.
They're
I have a preceptor and at this point, like the first term, your first term, they're pretty well attached to your hip. I mean, they're not gonna let you do much and that's the right of the nurse and you'll notice that nurses are very territorial over their patients. So when they know that they're precepting a student for the first time on the floor in their senior year, they're not gonna give you full reign. However, as you show your competence and your judgment skills, they'll back off and towards the end of the year, you'll be carrying a full patient load. With the exception of, I call my preceptors when I have to have insulin, narcotics, and blood products delivered.
Let me rephrase the question.
Okay.
If the third year at OHSU is PCC or community college students joining third year,
Mhm.
and you guys are doing the same program, the third year is the same for you as the BSN, or as the BSN program,
Yeah.
or the RN to BS.
Mhm.
So,
There's a lot of theory work involved,
Right.
class time, there's a lot of papers, researching, a lot of upper bachelor level things. You're not just doing, I'm doing 230 clinical hours and writing about 8 papers this term and doing forum posts and running a project on my unit. So it's learning how to do all of those. And that's what they're gonna take you from your 2-year RN into your third year. They're gonna say, okay, now show us how to be a leader on the unit, shows how you can be a scientist on the unit, shows how you can work interprofessionally with people, and they take it to a whole nother level. So you're writing to that weekly. Am I missing it?
it's the same program.
It's the same program.
Okay, so
They're in
regardless,
the
I
same
know-
classes as us. We
And you
sit-
get the same degree at the end, right?
Yeah,
So this is
You
essentially
get an
what it would
OHSU
look like.
Bachelor of Science in
Yeah.
Nursing degree.
the only difference is most of them, if not all of them, I believe, have sat for their NCLEX. They have their RN license, and probably a third of them I've heard have jobs as an RN, which they work outside of their clinical hours under their license. But when they're at school doing their clinical hours towards that BSN program, they're not an RN.
So this is the sample program of study for if you were to do the in-person transition to OHSU. This is what it looks like. The upper division coursework there is what Stephanie was talking about that you should get done ahead of time.
Having been a doctor back in the day, we used to get 3-year nurses and we'd get 4-year nurses in the Navy. And we even got what were called diploma nurses, which were girls that came straight out of high school and went to work for some hospital for years and years, and then they gave them an RN at the end of it. It was kind of different. Nursing education has progressed a lot since then. But the fact was, if you want to go far in nursing, if you want to ever be in charge of people and have advance up the ranks, you absolutely are going to have a BSN. There are hospitals in this country and in this state that will not hire a 3-year nurse. So you've got to do that last 4th year if you really want to have the big opportunities, I think. And I think it's more fun. But the one thing I would say is you don't have to do it right away. So if you're broke and you get done with your 3 years and you can go out and make good money as a registered nurse, you take your NCLEX exam, which is the national board certification as a nurse, you can work and make nurse money, and then in another year you can go back, or 2 years you can go back and do the OHSU thing online, or you can do it in person, you see. So,
And I'm not sure how PCC, I'm pretty sure they're really comparable with OHSU, but people have needed to just bow out of the program, not saying they're leaving permanently, but the school gives them a year off, and then they can just reintegrate right back into another cohort and finish their program. And we've had probably 3 or 4 people in our cohort that started out first year with me that aren't finishing with us because they, at one point or another, needed to take a year off, and we had 3 students join that did take a year off because they had children. And so they took a year off and then started back up with us, so.
Yeah, and there are different points that they allow you to do that, and different reasons where you can come back in. Really quick before we go, I just want to show you guys, because PCC's website is really gigantic and sometimes it can be really hard to navigate through. But if you are thinking about applying to other schools, click on your resources tab, which is always across the top here, and click on academic advising. If you look over here, the first link is the degree worksheets and university transfer. And if you click on that, you can actually look it up by school. So if you're thinking about applying to, say, Linfield, you can click on Linfield and go down and say, oh, they do have stuff for nursing. Let's go see what Linfield wants. And you can look it up by PCC. And it will actually go through and give you all of the PCC equivalents that they've already talked with us about. As you can see, most of the stuff you guys are going to have complete with the addition of some of this other biology preferred. But here at PCC, you can combine your biology 112, which is your prerequisite for your anatomy and physiology. So you can combine your biology 112 with either Chem 104 and Chem 105, or biology 112 with Chem 221 or Chem 222 to make your full year, which they only let students from PCC do.